So one thing that does come up often with boats is reverse chine. So the discussion is, you know, a boat with a reverse chine is going to perform better, it's going to ride better, it's going to whatever. Not any one whole attribute is universally good. To say that an offshore bracket is the best thing for every condition would be a false statement. But for every condition that we build them within for offshore fishing, it is beneficial to the boat design. And so there is attributes that would be true to, there's attributes that it would not. There's attributes that have been blown out of proportion. One of those things is really reverse chine. So what we believe and what we found is the bigger and heavier the boat, the more chine flat you can have that the boat can handle. Because you got to think of flat water, that's great. You can take a boat on a lake like this with a reverse chine, and I'm going to turn a corner real hard right now, and it'll stay a lot flatter. It's not going to lean into it as much. Does that make this design dangerous? Never, not at all. Does it make that run flatter? Sure. Does it mean I lose control on this boat? Not at all. You're going to see me take some pretty wild corners at pretty high speeds right now, and you're going to see without a reverse chine, I have full control of the boat. Where the downside is you're coming up into swells, and you climb a swell, you drop off the backside, you slam into the next one. Those flat chine flats or reversed angles, if the boat doesn't have enough kinetic energy or weight behind it, it doesn't have enough power to punch through that swell. And so what happens is that water, which has a ton of force, water carries an unbelievable amount of force, and it's the resistance back at the buoyancy of the boat. You slam down, and if you got a fairly light boat, it's going to bounce you right back. So you have instant stopping power. So the boat is going to be stopped more effectively in the water with a chine flat than it will without. That's not saying that every boat should not have a reverse chine. I started incorporating reverse chines into bigger offshore boats, into really, and you can fudge this number either way, but I have found where I'm really a big fan of them is where we get into about 10,000 pounds is where I feel like we see the full benefit in a vast presentable bodies of water. And but then the width of that reverse chine matters too. It doesn't mean you can go throw a 10-inch reverse chine at the bow of a boat and come off the backside of a swell into no backside into the front side of another swell and have the same ride attribute as a boat with a 4-inch front chine. So there is a major difference to the ride quality based on the size of chine, and it's been blown out of proportions really in a magnitude, or in just epic proportions, quite frankly. I could build this boat with a reverse chine, no problem, but I don't need lift. Lift is not my problem. I have all the lift in the world. I have all the trim range in the world too. The boat runs flat as I need it to. If I trim down on that engine and I really drop that nose down, I could bring my cut way forward in the bow like I am now and not have really any concern. If I want to trim it up, I can drop that back and have a lot better. I got a huge influence in that. Now what you're going to find is a reverse chine is going to stable you on those turns a little bit more. It's going to help you stable the boat out with weight differences, and that's fine and dandy. Trim tabs will do the same thing, but won't suffer the ride quality. But performance-wise, this boat, it'll hit a swell, and it has more of a tendency to go through it and not be stopped by it, which is a big factor when you're talking about trying to get the best ride in the offshore conditions as possible. And there's a balance to it. So the sharpness of your bow matters in that too. You can go too sharp. You can go not sharp enough. You can do a lot of different things. So there's a lot of attributes that can be influenced into it. So whole designs, there's no universal one thing. That's something we really have that comes up often. There's several builders that build a lot of reverse chine boats that they'll even take a piece of 1x2 angle, which is it's got a 1-inch up edge with a 2-inch flat, and they'll weld it onto the extrusion on the side at an angle, and it's just a welded flat piece of aluminum that acts kind of like a reverse chine. It gives you no stable buoyancy at rest, but it does when you're on plane. So there's a benefit to that to a degree, but the front has no reverse chine. And so it gives you a decent ride, decent cut at the front. And but they call that a reverse chine. That's kind of skirting it. Other manufacturers incorporate it into what they call the chine extrusion, and they'll have like a duck bill coming off the side. Technically, that is a reverse chine, just like technically I do have a reversed edge to my chine on my extrusion, but I'm not going to ever claim that. So anyways, I'm cruising along here, I'm doing 31, and I'm going to hit a corner. And I'm trimmed up pretty good on my engine, and sure, we're leaning into it, but I'm not losing bite, I'm not losing control. I'm throttling into it, and I'm turning really hard and heavy, and I'm at 32 miles an hour. I've got full control. I come back through, full control, I'm back to level. I want to go turn the other way. You know, trimming down for this is always better. I turn the other way, I'm trimmed down, I've got good bite, I've got full control. I'm hooking a corner really hard, really fast, and I'm doing it 31 miles an hour, and I've got full control. So I'm trimmed all the way down, and you can see, I mean, I'm going into the corner pretty good. I'm not even holding the steering wheel, I'm 35 miles an hour, and I'm hooking a pretty hard corner. Prop torque's going to play a little bit into this, which side really corners differently. You stay a little bit level cornering to the starboard side. I got some of our wakes right here that we're going to cut through. And then turning back in this way. Cutting into these really hard and really aggressively. So I'm cutting a corner super hard. And so I'm doing a diameter of maybe 60 feet in this circle. So it's a really tight cut. I've got full control. The boat's operating just fine. Cutting through some of these waves we're making, so I'm gonna cruise out of it. Cut down the river a little bit further. That's where you would see, that's going to be the difference on the boat. And so it's really something to speak to, and what these reverse chines, we get people calling all the time, and what is a reverse chine? Should I have it on my boat? Why don't you have it on your boats? Why does that boat have it, but the other one not? You know, whatever. There's a lot of different places that different things and attributes of a boat become beneficial and a detriment. So just knowledge is power, and understanding really all of it is really what's going to help you make the best choice and decision for you in a boat. I focus on big water running. It doesn't mean that we're not a great Puget Sound boat or a great lake boat. We are great saltwater or big water boats. I'm not a high lake design. If 90% of what you do is skiing and water skiing and pulling tubes, not my focus, I can care less about it. I own a tube, it's probably covered in spiders, and I think it's cracked because I haven't used it in like 5 years. But I own one. But I have a garage full of fishing gear and more rods than I have siblings in family. I guess I don't have that many siblings. I have 4 siblings. That'd be a terrible rod collection. Yeah. I got more rods than Carter's got pills. We'll go with that one. That's the good old saying. So